completion. Now our heart's ready. Now our heart is finally there. So now jumping back to that earlier point, if you find yourself unable to worship, unable to connect with God on a Sunday morning when we're singing these songs, remember that heartfelt worship begins with your soul, right? The first thing, you've got to remember that it's your soul that comes alive in response to the sacrifice that Jesus paid for you on the cross. A ransom that he paid. Begins with the soul, and it begins with a disciplined life. So employ your strength throughout the week, right? Sunday morning, I look forward to every Sunday morning, to be honest. I didn't used to, but now I do. It's like, I can't wait till Sunday morning. I'm disciplining myself through the entire week to get ready for it, okay? This is, staying, well, we'll get to that, but you heard the Disciples Cross presentation earlier, staying in the Word, reading it every day. It begins with having the mind of Christ. It's possible to have the mind of Christ. Okay, we can think like Jesus, and therefore will act like Jesus. So if your heart is reluctant, then engage your mind and your strength, and often the heart will follow. Okay. As a worship leader, I prefer the term worship facilitation leader. I try to pick songs that are true all the time. I've been in churches where it's I can't sing these songs. I'm not there yet. I don't feel that way because all the lyrics are about how I feel, and it's all I this and I that, and I love and I worship and God, you're all I want. I didn't really feel like that at the time. So how do I connect with God when those kinds of words are being sung? I couldn't do it, and I was miserable. So for me, part of my background. So now I try to pick songs that are true all the time. I love the Matt Redman song. It's that kind of that Job kind of essence song. Blessed be your name. When it's bad, I will still bless your name. And blessed be your name when it's good, and I will still bless your name. Worship when you feel like it, and worship when you don't. Right? There's only two ways to do it. So as we are able to worship God with our whole heart and our whole mind and our whole soul and our whole strength, we're also able to relate to people in the proper way. Okay, talking about relational equipping, I guess is probably a good word for it. We can love them as if they were our dearest friend, no matter how they treat us. We can encourage them and instruct them. We can correct them gently and patiently, and we can train them to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. So really, that's why we do come together on Sunday mornings and on Wednesday nights and throughout the week on our own. We meet up with people all the time. The goal is to see growth, to stimulate each other, to sharpen each other. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. That's what we do. We relate to each other. We love our neighbors as ourselves. I want to see you guys. Every one of you, right? If you're involved in my life, I have a personal interest in you guys. I want to see you guys grow. I want to see you become the women of God that he wants you to be. And I will be amazed at the outcome. I'm telling you. I see it already in you guys. You're shining. You're glowing. I didn't know you before. But I've known people like you. I know what they look like. And you've told us, kind of what you used to be like and what you used to think like, and you're different now. And you're glowing. And I remember when I was glowing. It was 1993 I was glowing. And for 2 years I'm on this honeymoon with God and just glowing. And people would say to me all the time, I can see it on your face. And then the weeds grew up around me. I got more concerned with, the trivial things in life and kind of lost my glow. I'm getting it back. So what can we expect from this lifestyle of obedience? Blessing, right? That's what we want. We want the blessing, all right? Okay, let's be honest. Okay, we want the blessing. Over and over again, we see the words in the Old Testament. God says, if only my people would, turn from their wicked ways, would turn back to me, would tear down the Asherah poles. He's our perfect Father who knows how to give good gifts. That's what Jesus said. You guys know how to give good gifts, but how much more is our perfect Father in heaven who knows how to give these good gifts? So look at Leviticus 26 for a great example. Okay, God gives his law to his people. He's not trying to keep them from enjoying life. He's not trying to put restrictions on them and kind of bind them and make them slaves to a particular way of living. He's trying to give them more abundant life. Jesus is the fulfillment of the law. He says, I didn't come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. I came that they may have and enjoy life and have it in abundance to the full till it overflows. Okay? So do you want abundant life? Because it's going to take a little bit of work. You got to love the Lord your God with all your strength. And I got to tell you, we've been here for 3 years now, and I'm a different person than I was 3 years ago. Right now I have abundant life. I'm learning what it means. I'm not trying to brag. I mean, I'd rather boast in my weaknesses, and we'll get to that. but now I understand what that verse means. I mean, I don't live in want. My business, if you guys don't know, I have my father and I started a robotics business about 20 years ago. When did the business start taking off? When did the business really when did it really catch its stride? When I started tithing, to be honest. It was when I made that decision that I said, you know what, God, I can't even afford to tithe, but I'm going to respond to you. God would say to me, okay, you've got $3 in your wallet, give me $2. And I was like, okay. So I'm giving God from my leftovers, but he's honoring that because my heart he knew that I wanted to give and just couldn't. And I'm not going to sit up here and declare to you that we're having all these salvations in the past 13 weeks because you guys have started to tithe. I mean, Pastor stood up here a couple of months ago, or a couple weeks ago, sorry, and talked about how the church, we were supposed to be in this big deficit right now, and we've got an abundance now in terms of our financial situation. You guys are already tithing. And do we see the benefit of that? People aren't getting saved because you're tithing. I'll be very clear about that. But God is at work in your hearts because you're tithing as an outward expression of what God is doing in your hearts. And now God is accomplishing great things in our midst. And when you see whole families coming to the understanding that Jesus died for them and that God raised him up so that he could raise them up too, when you see whole families getting saved like that, it's exciting. I am really happy to be here right now to see this for myself. It's great. So abundant life. The other side of that is you need to be warned that you can fool people, but you can't fool God. I used to wear a plastic face to church. I was miserable, right? But nobody would have known it. I sang the songs and I prayed the prayers, and in fact, I was the worship band leader. Jesus called the Pharisees whitewashed tombs. Really, what is a whitewashed tomb? Well, the tomb is what did they do at the time? They had these tombs. They reused the tombs. Did you know that? So you put the body inside the tomb, you close it up until it decayed and everything else. Everything was decayed and gone. Then you open it back up, you grab the bones, you put them in a little box, and then I think they buried the box, right? So wasn't a whole lot of space to work with, I guess. So the tomb was a place where the body was meant to decompose for a temporary and a finite amount of time, and then the bones were removed and put into a box. So a whitewashed tomb. So we've painted the outside of the tomb. It looks really pretty. We got flowers on it and everything else, but on the inside it's decomposing, and there's death, and there's a smell of death inside of it. Jesus calls these guys whitewashed tombs. Wow, it's harsh. Listen to what God says through Amos 5. I despise your feasts, and I will not smell a savor or take delight in your solemn assemblies. Though you offer me your burnt offerings and your cereal offerings, I will not accept them. Neither will I look upon the peace or thank offerings of your fatted beasts. Take away from me the noise of your songs, for I will not listen to the melody of your harps. Wow.